Good afternoon, Sensei, and good afternoon, everyone. This is my title of my study, Junior Secondary Science Teacher Self-Efficacy Belief in Science Teaching, a case of lesson study program in Sunan Regency, Indonesia, under supervisions Simu Sensei, Ikeda Sensei, and also Baba Sensei. And let me start with my objective. My study aims at examining the effect of lesson study on the level of self-efficacy belief in science teachings. From this objective, I set up two research questions. First, to what extent is the level of self-efficacy belief among science teachers in science teachings between those who have been actively involved in lesson study and those who haven't been involved? And then the second research question is there any significant differences between the level of self-efficacy among science teachers before and after implementation of lesson study programs? And then, this is the result of the research question number one. The level of science teacher self-efficacy belief for those who have been actively involved in lesson study program is higher than those who haven't been involved. And also the reason question number two, the level of science teacher self-efficacy belief in piloting SAT increasing before and after implementing lesson study programs. So therefore, lesson study programs has an effect in increasing teacher self-efficacy belief. And briefly, I want to explain the rationale of my study, why I conduct this study. Starting from the background, quality of Indonesian teachers are still low. So enhancing the quality of the teacher is becoming one of the three issues in the strategic trend in our ministry. And how? In 1998, JK came and promoted lesson study as a continuous professional development program for the teachers. And they set up the piloting site. Up to now, there are 6 piloting sites for the lesson study programs. And the question is why lesson study are really very important. Because many studies said about the benefit of lesson study. Like Lewis said that lesson study contributes to the knowledge teacher professionalism. And also, related to the lesson study, to the belief, lesson study can increase their level of self-efficacy and thus improve their teaching practice. And also the self-efficacy belief, which is reflected in classroom activities, has important effect for providing quality education. So what would be done in this study? Since the study of self-efficacy in Indonesia still scarce, so this research aims to examine the self-efficacy, focusing on science teachers in teaching science. And then I explained a little bit about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is widely known when Bandura introduced his theory. He defines self-efficacy is individual judgments of their capability to organize and execute the courses of the actions. And also, the self-efficacy are major determinant of whether a person will do a task, and how much effort will be performed, and how much effort will be done in the face of obstacles. And also he mentioned, Bandura mentions in his theory, they construct 2 dimensions of self-efficacy: personal self-efficacy and also outcome expectancy. Personal self-efficacy is the belief and judgments of the teacher in terms of performing necessary behavior for an effective teaching. And outcome expectation is the belief and judgment of the teacher for enhancing the achievement of the students with effective teaching method. So this is the example of the personal self-efficacy in the instruments. For the personal self-efficacy, the example is I am typically able to answer student science questions. And for the outcome expectancy, the inadequacy of the student science background can be overcome by good teaching. And also in the self-efficacy, they are also constructed of individuals' own capacity regarding to the positive and negative judgment about himself. And this is also the sample of the statement in the instruments about the positive and negative. So I understand science concept well enough to be effective in teaching elementary achievements. And for the negative statement, I find it difficult to explain to students why science experiments work. For measuring the self-efficacy, widely used is science teaching efficacy belief instruments. So this instrument developed by Riggs and they have 25 statements, which is asking the teachers to indicate the degree of agree or disagree by circling the appropriate letters. So in this instrument, for personal self-efficacy, is represented by 13 items, and for the outcome expectancy, represented by 12 items. And the same thing also positive judgment and negative judgment. Personal self-efficacy, outcome expectancy, positive judgment, and negative judgment, statements are placed randomly in the instruments. And also this positive and negative statements in the instruments. Self-efficacy is the future belief. So it can be changed. By interventions, self-efficacy can be changed. One of the interventions based on the study of Robert, that apparently teachers who are collaboratively involved in supportive settings such as lesson study can increase their level of self-efficacy. And this is my methodology. I choose two sides. First side, which is implementing lesson study, and the second side, they don't have lesson study. In the politics side, I make a group before they implement lesson study and after they implement lesson study. And for the non-politics side, only one group teachers. So at the first week, I compare to the self-efficacy between the teacher after when they have been involved actively in lesson study, and the teacher in non-parenting side. And also I checking also the level of self-efficacy belief before and after lesson study implementation in parenting side. And also I compare to the self-efficacy before they implement lesson study and the science teacher in parenting side. So for the piloting side, I select Sumedang Regency as the one of the piloting site in Indonesia. And also for non-piloting side, Tangerang Selatan City was selected for this study. And only science teacher from public school were selected because in order to avoid the bias, so the public teacher from public school. It means ordinary school, not good school or bad school, just ordinary school. And also for the piloting side, in the piloting side, teacher who really participating in lesson study was selected. And I got 110 respondents for this study, which is 60 respondents from piloting side from Sumedang Regency and 50 respondents from non-piloting side. Before proceeding for analyzing, I conduct validity and reliability. So I use KSML, Okin, and also Barrett specialty for conducting factor analysis, and that is the result. More than the result for came or more than 0.5, and also the Barrett specificity test less than 0.05. So I conduct the factor analysis, and also for the component matrix, I choose the component column 1, and I consider these questions, item question, key 1, key 7, key 10, key 13, and also key 19 to be omitted. So up to now, I got 20 items will be analyzed for the next analysis. And for the reliability, I divide into 2 dimensions, personal self-efficacy and also outcome expectancy. And for the personal self-efficacy, I got the acceptable alpha, 0.7. But for the outcome expectancy, I got a questionable alpha value. So by using this table, I have to omit some items. So I got it for the key 11 will be omitted. So this is the analyzing data, only 19 statements, and because this is the 5 scales Likert type, so for the positive, I coded as 5, 4, 3, 7, 1, and 1, 2, 7, 4, 5 for the negative. And also the data was grouped as pilot before, pilot after, and non-pilot. I use SPSS for this calculations statistics. So this is the result for the personal self-efficacy. For this table, for personal self-efficacy, actually all for this one, pilot and after and pilot before, the personal self-efficacy is increased. And for the pilot after is also higher than non-pilot. Then for the non-pilot and pilot before, not a significant difference. While for the outcome expectancy, pilot after and pilot before and after is higher, increasing. And but for the non-pilot and pilot before is higher. So actually they have for the piloting side, they already have outcome expectancy higher than non-pilot. So for the all questions, pilot after is highest among the group, then followed by pilot before, and last is non-pilot. And also one I saw the significant difference between groups. And with the group, so I saw that the significance between pilot after and non-pilot is 0.00. Then we can say pilot after is higher than pilot before than non-pilot. And the second between pilot before and pilot after is 0.00. Then we can say increasing the self-efficacy belief before and after implementation lesson study. The significance between pilot before and non-pilot 0.031. It has been there are a significant difference. So we can say that pilot before is higher than non-pilot. And for the conclusions, the teachers who are collaboratively joining the professional development programs of lesson study are showing high level of self-efficacy belief compared to those who do not have this kind of programs. And also, this is in line with another previous research. This professional development program can increase their self-efficacy belief. So for the recommendations, the professional development program of lesson study is a good approach for increasing the teacher's level of self-efficacy. So therefore, it is essential to make it sustainable, and for further study, it may be very important to find out the impact of self-efficacy for science teachers' teaching performance. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Is there any